rediscover our mind and heart and courage, or something crucial will be missing. The very struggles we would just as soon skip past become the ticket to gaining what we lack, as though God knew just the grist we needed to become what He had in mind. Listening to the stories, the lives of women, as a counselor and a writer, makes me very conscious of how similar our journeys are. Each of us wants to become what I call a strong woman with a soft heart, a woman in touch with God and alive to all the possibilities that walking with Him can bring. It's just that sometimes we get mired in the very clay He dug us out of, tangled in the weeds of our own wanderings. Occasionally I meet a woman and listen to her story, and I find that I am the one who is changed from the encounter. A few years ago, I spoke with a woman who had survived an operation no one thought she possibly could. Other than an occasional checkup, there were no long-term effects on her health. In fact, the doctors said she could do whatever she wanted to do. The problem was that 5 years had passed, and she still wasn't doing much of anything. She had drawn a small circle around herself, and she lived inside it, taking walks with an elderly mother, having lunch occasionally with friends, cleaning her house. It was squeaky clean by this point. The thought of actively engaging in life caused so much anxiety that she stayed put, bound up with fear. I asked the obvious question. What was she afraid of? "I'm afraid I'm going to die," she said. Calamity had struck once and she had survived. Calamity could strike again. I kept thinking that she would see she had been graced with another chance at life, that she would want to make the most of the time God had given her. But weeks and weeks and weeks passed, and nothing budged. "You are going to die," I finally said one day in a moment of quiet desperation. The question, it seems, is, are you going to live? That question has returned to me 100 times since I first asked it. Are you going to live? And by that I mean, will you really grab hold of life in whatever shape God has given it, and live as though you didn't go around twice? As simple as that sounds, I find the temptation to shut down on the inside and settle for the crumbs under the table is one that every woman faces. It's a temptation I face. We can so easily sleepwalk through our days, out of touch, disconnected, half alive. We can die before our time, really. On the inside, we can die long before there are any visible signs. The underlying premise of this book is that we must have our hearts intact in order to make the journey of life well. We must have access to the inside stuff, the longings and desires and dreams and vulnerabilities that make us who we are. God placed those in us. He means for us to live from the heart. It's the place where we first hear His voice and respond. It's the key to so much, to trust and the willingness to forgive, to laughter, wisdom, and sacrifice, to being able to love others in a real way. Life is not a journey you want to make on autopilot. Following the trail. Suppose someone pulled you aside and said, "Tell me about the moments in your life when you felt really alive." What would you say? Would you recount for them the experience of holding your first child in your arms? Would you describe, perhaps, what it feels like to sit for an hour and look out over a mountain ridge at the glory of fall colors? How about the memory of a laugh till you cry story with a good friend? Or the moment when the same old argument you've had for years with your husband suddenly broke through to a new level of understanding? Would you talk about a time when you could sense the presence of God in some very real way? Simple moments like these, which we string together like pearls on a necklace, are more important than we realize. They are sure clues to the capacity